Have you ever wondered why some crimes seem to happen out of nowhere, without any careful planning, without any long-term intention, almost as if they were accidents of circumstance? This is the world of crimes of opportunity. Imagine someone walking down the street, noticing a wallet left unattended on a cafe table, and in a split second, without ever having thought of themselves as a criminal, they slip it into their pocket. Or picture a neighbor, always polite, always ordinary, who sees a delivery package sitting outside a door and without hesitation picks it up and walks away. These are not masterminds, not hardened criminals, but regular people, students, office workers, even parents, who suddenly find themselves crossing a line they never imagined they would cross. The question is, why? Why do otherwise ordinary people sometimes commit crimes simply because the opportunity presents itself? Psychologists and criminologists have long studied this strange and unsettling phenomenon. Unlike premeditated crimes, which are carefully calculated, crimes of opportunity often happen in moments when impulse and environment collide. A person does not leave home planning to steal, but when the door is left unlocked or the cash register is unattended, temptation whispers louder than reason. And in that whisper lies a dangerous truth. Many of us, under the right conditions, could become the very criminals we fear. One of the most important elements is the psychology of temptation. Human beings are wired to respond to immediate rewards. Our brains are built to notice sudden chances for gain, and for some people, especially in moments of stress, poverty, or frustration, the idea of taking what is available right now can override long-term moral codes. Neuroscience tells us that the brain's reward system, particularly the release of dopamine, lights up when we anticipate quick benefits. So when someone sees an open car with the engine running, or a phone left on a park bench, the brain can send a surge of excitement that drowns out rational thought. In that instant, morality takes a backseat and desire takes the wheel. But it is not only about biology. Social context plays a huge role. Consider the power of anonymity. In crowded cities where people feel like just another face in the mass, the sense of being invisible can weaken self-control. If you believe nobody is watching, the fear of being judged or caught is reduced, and opportunity becomes harder to resist. Psychologists call this the bystander effect in reverse. Instead of helping when others are present, people sometimes feel shielded by the presence of strangers, thinking, if I act quickly, no one will notice. In suburban neighborhoods, it can be the opposite. The trust and routine of daily life may lull people into leaving doors unlocked or valuables unguarded, unintentionally inviting opportunistic crime. History is full of examples. During blackouts in major cities, when lights go out and streets fall into darkness, looting often surges. Most of those who rush into stores to grab televisions or food are not professional thieves. They are everyday citizens who would never shoplift under normal circumstances. Yet in the dark, with police stretched thin and order suspended, opportunity creates a new reality. The line between law-abiding citizen and criminal suddenly blurs. Think of Hurricane Katrina in 2005. While some looting was driven by desperation for food and water, other cases involved people walking away with electronics or clothing, items of no immediate survival value. Why? Because the opportunity was simply there, and the perceived risk of punishment was gone. Opportunity also thrives on rationalization. The human mind is skilled at justifying actions, no matter how questionable. Someone who finds a lost phone might say to themselves, the owner should have been more careful, or, if I don't take it, someone else will. These small self-deceptions act like psychological armor, protecting the individual from guilt and allowing them to see their act not as theft, but as seizing a chance. In psychology, this is known as neutralization theory. People neutralize the moral weight of their actions with excuses, creating a temporary moral loophole in which the crime feels less like a crime. Consider also the role of routine. Routine activity theory in criminology argues that crime happens when three elements intersect: a motivated offender, a suitable target, and the absence of a capable guardian. In the context of crimes of opportunity, motivation may be weak or even absent, but when a tempting target appears and no one is around to prevent it, the ordinary person can suddenly become the offender. A purse left in a shopping cart, a bicycle without a lock, a laptop on a library table. These are suitable targets waiting to be claimed. Without a capable guardian, a witness, a camera, or even a sense of being observed, temptation can turn into action in seconds. What makes this even more chilling is that crimes of opportunity reveal a truth about human nature we don't like to face. Many people are not inherently criminals, but situationally criminal. In other words, under the right set of conditions, people who see themselves as decent, moral, even law-abiding, can commit acts they would condemn in others. This is not to excuse the behavior, but to recognize how fragile the boundary between good and bad can be. It is not always about character. Sometimes it is about circumstance. Take the example of workplace theft. Studies show that a surprising number of employees, from corporate executives to entry-level staff, admit to taking office supplies, falsifying hours, or misusing company resources. These are not career criminals. They are regular workers who see small, low-risk opportunities and convince themselves it is harmless. A pen here, a notepad there, or even more serious acts like manipulating expense reports. Each small act builds on the logic that it doesn't really hurt anyone. But collectively, workplace theft costs billions of dollars each year. Again, it is not the criminal mastermind at work, but the ordinary individual responding to the lure of opportunity. Crimes of opportunity also tell us something about inequality. In communities where resources are scarce, opportunities for quick, easy gain may appear even more tempting. A teenager who sees an unlocked bike might not think of themselves as a thief, but rather as someone seizing a rare chance. Poverty does not excuse crime, but it increases vulnerability to temptation. In fact, criminologists often note that areas with higher levels of inequality experience more opportunistic crime, not necessarily because people are more bad, but because the opportunities are more visible and the pressures to take them are greater. Still, it would be a mistake to think crimes of opportunity only occur among the poor. Wealthy individuals, too, can fall prey to sudden chances for gain. White-collar crimes such as insider trading or embezzlement often begin as opportunistic decisions: a spreadsheet left open, a piece of information overheard, a financial loophole discovered. Someone who never set out to commit fraud can be seduced by the simplicity of the opportunity. Just as a child might take a piece of candy when no one is looking, an executive may move money between accounts, convincing themselves it is temporary or harmless. The psychology is the same, only the scale is different. To understand why opportunity can have such power, we must also look at how humans perceive risk. Most of us make decisions not only based on what we want, but on what we think we can get away with. Crimes of opportunity flourish when the perceived risk is low. If a person believes they are unlikely to be caught, their brain begins to focus more on the reward than the punishment. Cameras, alarms, and witnesses all act as deterrents, but in their absence, the mental balance shifts. In fact, studies show that even the illusion of surveillance, like a picture of eyes placed above a cash box, can reduce theft. This suggests that the awareness of being observed is often more powerful than moral values alone. So, when we talk about crimes of opportunity, we are not just talking about thefts or impulsive acts. We are talking about the vulnerabilities of human psychology. We are talking about the ease with which temptation, rationalization, and environment can intersect to turn ordinary people into criminals. It is unsettling to admit, but perhaps necessary. Given the right set of circumstances, almost anyone could fall into this trap. And once they do, the path back to being ordinary is not always easy. But what about prevention? If we know that crimes of opportunity thrive on access, temptation, and weak guardianship, then we can also ask ourselves, how can society design environments that reduce these triggers? In situational crime prevention, think of it like this. If you leave your bicycle unlocked outside a coffee shop, you are silently inviting chance. A passerby who would never think of themselves as a thief might suddenly see the possibility. Maybe they are late for work, maybe they are frustrated with their life, maybe they just want to feel in control. That moment of weakness meets an object of temptation. But if the bicycle has a heavy lock or is secured in a crowded area, the opportunity shrinks. The crime loses its spark. This is why supermarkets put mirrors in corners, why parking lots are well lit, why banks install cameras not only inside but outside the premises. It's not that mirrors or cameras stop crime outright, they simply alter the psychology of the opportunity. The potential offender begins to imagine consequences, risks, and exposure. That pause, that hesitation, is often enough to stop them. Now let's step back and ask a deeper question. Why do ordinary people even respond to opportunity in the first place? Psychologists point to several mechanisms. The first is moral disengagement. Most of us carry a sense of right and wrong, a moral compass that keeps us from harming others. But in opportunistic moments, the brain sometimes plays tricks. We rationalize. It's just a wallet, the person probably has credit cards. Or it's just a small lie, no one will ever notice. These small justifications loosen the grip of morality. In those few seconds, the mind builds a bridge between "I would never do this" and "maybe just this once." The second mechanism is social proof and normalization. If we see others engaging in opportunistic behavior like cheating on taxes, taking office supplies home, or illegally downloading media, we subconsciously normalize it. The brain says, if everyone else is doing it, then maybe it isn't truly wrong. And so, when an opportunity presents itself, we are more likely to grab it. The third mechanism is stress and desperation. Imagine someone under crushing debt or a parent struggling to feed their children. In those states of mind, opportunities take on a different meaning. A left-behind purse isn't just a temptation. It feels like a lifeline. Studies show that economic stress correlates strongly with crimes of opportunity because the individual's rational brain becomes overshadowed by immediate survival needs. And then, of course, there's impulsivity. Some people have a personality trait that leans toward acting first, thinking later. For them, opportunities feel like challenges, almost like dares. The act of taking something just because they can provides a rush, a dopamine spike in the brain similar to gambling. This is why shoplifting, for example, isn't always about need. Many cases involve people who could afford the items but stole them anyway, just for the thrill. But here's something that may surprise you. When criminologists analyze these patterns, they find that the majority of opportunistic crimes are not committed by hardened criminals at all. Instead, they are committed by people who have no prior record, no long history of crime. Ordinary citizens, parents, students, employees, neighbors. And this is what makes crimes of opportunity so fascinating and so unsettling. Because if the right set of circumstances appears, if the moral guardrails weaken, if the temptation shines just a little too brightly, then almost anyone could stumble across that invisible line. Let's look at another real-world example: corporate crimes of opportunity. In the early 2000s, massive scandals rocked companies like Enron and WorldCom. Executives, accountants, and managers, people who wore suits, shook hands, and lived in suburban neighborhoods, manipulated numbers and shifted funds when opportunities emerged. At first, it was small adjustments, little lies, but each time the opportunity grew bigger and the rationalization stronger. We'll fix it next quarter. The shareholders won't notice. Everyone else in the industry does this. What began as minor acts of opportunism cascaded into billion-dollar frauds that destroyed jobs, wiped out savings, and devastated communities. Again, it wasn't violence. It wasn't premeditated bank robbery. It was crime born of opportunity, the chance to exploit a weakness in the system and the belief that no one would notice. So where does this leave us? Are we all just one tempting opportunity away from becoming criminals? Well, not exactly. Most people resist, even when temptation arises. What makes the difference often comes down to self-awareness, environment, and accountability. Self-awareness means recognizing your own vulnerabilities. Do you tend to rationalize small wrongs? Do you find yourself saying, just this once, more often than you'd like? Those are signs that you could be swayed by an opportunity in the wrong moment. Environment plays an enormous role too. Studies show that when individuals are placed in high-trust, well-structured settings, workplaces with transparency, neighborhoods with strong social ties, opportunistic crime rates drop. But in chaotic, poorly supervised, or corrupt environments, the rates climb. And then there's accountability. When people believe they will be held responsible by law, by peers, or even by their own conscience, the chance of acting on opportunity decreases dramatically. This is why something as simple as a reminder, a watchful eye, or a strong ethical culture can redirect behavior in powerful ways. As we come closer to wrapping up this episode, let's reflect on one chilling truth. The scariest thing about crimes of opportunity is not that they happen, it's that they could happen to anyone. The neighbor you trust, the coworker you admire, the student who gets straight A's, or even you. Not because you are evil, not because you are doomed, but because human beings are wired to respond to chance, temptation, and weakness in ways we don't always predict. That doesn't mean we are helpless. It means awareness is our strongest weapon. By recognizing how opportunity shapes crime, by designing safer environments, by checking our own rationalizations, we can push back against that quiet voice that whispers just this once. So the next time you pass by a wallet on the ground, or notice a door left unlocked, or find yourself tempted by an opportunity no one else can see, stop, breathe. Remember this conversation, because in that moment, the choice you make will define more than just your actions. It will define your character. And that's the essence of it. Crimes of opportunity reveal who we are when no one is watching.